On this episode of DC On Screen, we are talking about Gotham Season 5 with an emphasis on the series finale. Right after this.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
You think of Earth as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse, where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
We almost never get to say series finale. This is one of the only ones when we've said it, I was like, no, this is actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said it with Lucifer.
We did, and then it wasn't a thing.
And then by the time we recorded it was not a thing.
Yeah. Well, it still was a thing, but like a week after.
It wasn't very long.
Welcome.
And we even knew then.
Yeah, we suspected. Welcome into DC On Screen. I don't know what episode number. This is our Gotham series finale review. I'm David C. Robertson. This, Jason Goss.
Hello.
All right, so before we jump into this review, I do want to thank our patrons. You guys really make a difference in getting this show done, making the show better. Keep an eye on your private Patreon feeds because we will be dropping our Avengers Endgame review in the next few days, if it's not up already. If you'd like to be a patron, head on over to patreon.com/DCOnScreen for Jason's pull list, warm-ups, chasing squirrels, and as previously mentioned, Marvel reviews. And who knows what we'll come up with next. I don't. All right. I have, I want to go on record as saying I think this is my favorite season of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has been the tightest. I think it has had an extreme amount of focus that previous seasons did not. And I think that a shorter episode count probably was the way to go for previous seasons. I don't think it would have helped in the ratings, but I do think it would have been a better show overall.
Possibly.
It had more focus. I don't need, weird stray storylines with, Lee being infected with Mad Hatter or whatever, and Court of Owls kind of petering out into nothing, and whatever. This season was tight. I dug it. I was not entirely excited about No Man's Land, but it turned out to be a pretty damn great season.
Yeah. I was excited about No Man's Land.
Yeah.
I was confused about how they were going to do it that quickly.
And they did. And it worked, I think.
I'm not sure it worked for me.
You're not sure it worked for you? I did think it was rushed at the end.
The rush at the end is my only problem. Otherwise, I loved it. Like for the most part, this series has been pretty great. I mean, you'd have a little lull where for a few episodes they'd focus on an arc maybe that you didn't care about here and there, but that's kind of to be expected. Like they took on a lot, and as a fan, some stuff you're going to care about and some stuff you're not.
Yeah.
Overall, I cared about a lot what was happening, and I thought a lot of it was really well executed.
Okay.
Overall. Every now and then there's like a point where like, I just don't, that's not a story I care about. Or
I have big swaths, like giant swaths of the show that I'm just sick of, and I just never liked. Like Fish Mooney, for instance.
Yeah, Fish Mooney was always
Barbara was always one of those things, which I started to like her a little more in this season especially.
Yeah.
Basically, I started liking her after she got electrocuted.
Yeah,
a couple seasons ago. I was like, oh, okay, she's a little different this season.
It went a little bit better after that. They liked the actress, and they never could figure out exactly what they wanted to do with her. And she went through a lot of variations, like more than Jerome.
Yeah.
So as an actress, I'm pretty impressed she was able to do all that. But I also felt most of the time like they were reaching to figure out what to do with her.
Yeah.
And that kind of came across to me that they just it was throwing it against the wall a little bit.
A little bit. I never I never quite got there with Riddler. I liked Ed. I liked his relationship with Penguin. Never quite got there with Riddler. Like, the Riddler persona was basically doing a bad Christian Bale impersonation.
I didn't think Christian Bale, but I always thought I always thought the Riddler persona, it made sense to me. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, most of the time it was over the top in a way that I enjoyed. Like the way the Penguin character is, who he's just always the Penguin. But the way, was it Robin Lord Taylor?
Yeah.
Is always a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
But it makes sense for him. And it makes sense for that character. Like, that guy did a great job throughout the entire series. Mm-hmm. Like, every time when he's just spitting, like spit coming out of the side of his mouth, he's so pissed about something. It made sense.
He's my favorite character in the entire series.
He was maybe the most rewarding part of the whole thing. Short of Alfred.
I still liked him more, but I loved Alfred, yeah.
And we could make a little aside and say there were several characters that I thought throughout the whole series just nailed it. Like Bullock, Alfred, Penguin. Mm-hmm. All top notch the entire way.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Probably some more. I'm just not thinking of them right now. But
I
Riddler,
loved every version of Jerome.
Every single time Cameron Monaghan has been on the screen, it has been a gift and a joy.
Pretty much.
That just every instantiation, whatever they did with him. And I stick to my... I don't know that this is what happened, but I feel like this is what happened. I feel like they cast him as the kid who was going to play it tight and kind of laugh at the end of that episode. And I think they saw it and said, how we can't let this go. Yeah. I think they saw him and it was like, this is a weapon. We have to use him. Mm-hmm. So he just kept coming back. And every year it kept being like, no, he's going to be here more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
Riddler, though, just going back to him, I never really had a problem with him. I don't think it was over the top. I didn't like the mirror stuff either. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I liked what they did with him. And for the most part, I liked his arc. And Corey Michael Smith, I want to say is his name.
Something like that. I
think that's it. 98% sure it's it. Didn't have a problem with his actual portrayal at all.
I just don't like his version of Riddler, like who's like, I hate that.
Now, what I did have a problem with though, is the last couple times we see him in this series, awful.
Yeah,
hated it.
What was it you hated about it?
So him and Oswald are reunited. Bats jumps on the car.
Yeah,
great. Cape over the front windshield. Great. Mm-hmm. Wreck. Great. Dutch angle as they Scooby-Doo style hug each other and go, ah! Awful. Hated it. Hated that. Like, it was so absurdly... Even the music at that moment was just... It was like a blooper from Batman 66. And I thought, like, this show has gone through such trouble to make a believable but fun version of things. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to take two of the characters you've spent so much time building into their counterparts, and this is the campy-ass bullshit ending you give me for those two? I didn't appreciate it.
I'll just lay this right out. Mm-hmm. I pretty much think the series finale was a total shit show.
The last two episodes for me were a shit show.
The penultimate episode was a better finale than this was, than the actual finale was.
Yeah, I can see that. Again, apologies for everyone that's excited about it, but the last two episodes I felt like let me down. For the most part, the show did great. And this season, I thought was the best so far. Mm-hmm. And then, let me tell you let me get really angry real quick.
Sure.
The penultimate episode was the hackiest thing I think I've ever seen Gotham do.
Okay.
It was every bullshit contrived line. Mm-hmm. It was every mustache twirling villain, even if it was a girl.
Indeed.
It was.
Which, by the way, Nyssa Al Ghul may be the worst villain on Gotham. I think
it's the worst Gotham villain so far.
She was terrible.
And they pulled her in at the last minute and roped her in to make a scene happen that shouldn't have happened. None of the plot points there, so made.
She's basically Talia from Dark Knight Rises.
They did an homage to Dark Knight Rises, which also annoyed me because it's the worst movie.
And some of the worst things about Dark Knight Rises are things they lifted from Batman and Robin. Where it's like Bane is like mindless freaking tool of the female
inanity
villain.
Upon inanity compounded
Who's
to the third power.
A scene chewer.
Shit.
Just like Nissa's a scene chewer. Like I was going to say, she studied at the freaking school of Uma Thurman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is not a bad actress unless you look at her in freaking Batman and Robin, which she's just, god awful.
Yeah. There was a bunch of decent actors doing poor jobs there. I don't know what the deal was. I think the production was awful. But in that penultimate episode, I've never been angrier ending an episode of Gotham. Because I knew, I knew how much time we had, and I knew where the show was, and you're gonna wrap up the entire No Man's series, which was great. And you're gonna wrap that up with some bullshit stand at the end, which I know was supposed to be emotionally rewarding, but it's not because you didn't make that payoff.
They didn't make the payoff the same way. Like, it was stronger in the beginning because remember we saw that stand at the beginning of the season.
We saw them all getting ready for it.
It was incredibly emotionally.
It was
substantial,
giant question mark on the whole thing. I'm super excited about how does this happen? What are we leading to?
Yeah,
and then apparently we're leading to what was it, about 14 people?
Yeah,
maybe 12, 14 people.
Yeah,
standing up, none of them with their guns raised, versus an army of about 30 people, which by the way is portrayed to be several hundred. So there was a budgetary problem with showing their army. That they were biting off more than they could chew. It was always like, oh, it's a whole group of people. And it was like 6 dudes. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
Like, it was always, it was never done well that way. So my first problem when that first started to annoy me was at the stand at the wall when they're really well insulated with all the metal. And that's great. And we see how Oswald loses his eye, and that was kind of whatever. Okay.
I kind of enjoyed that part.
It was all right. But that was the only part of that scene that worked for me. Because otherwise it was just like them shooting down at a group of people. And that entire group of trained people that were like 35 feet from them couldn't shoot. It was a badly staged scene. Where it was as many people on one side of the wall as the other. And it was supposed to be some standoff. And it didn't work. And then later it's like Bruce himself shows up with some embedded leather. Like a biker outfit. Like he'd be great in a motorcycle crash. But he shows up with nothing to a gunfight. Yeah. They just literally show up to get slaughtered. That's it. And then some people pour in behind him. That still ends with a slaughter. The moment when everyone turns on the general would have meant more to me if they had looked like they were ever going to stand a chance to begin with. But as is, they showed up, they all should have died, and the general should have just walked away with the day. It annoyed the shit out of me. So I thought like the whole thing ended with a whimper to me.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the last episode did a lot. It did some things right, but it was also kind of, it was a bit of a cock tease.
I was going to say the last episode is nothing but masturbation.
You think so?
I don't need any of that. Like,
it would have been nice if we're going 10 years into the future. I mean, it was nice to see like Jim with the mustache. It was better to see him shave it off.
See, I kind of disagree. And one of my big problems with the finale is they didn't even like. I don't feel like they made an attempt to even make anyone look older. They were just like, oh, Barbara has different hair. Jim has a mustache, but he shaves it off just so Bruce will recognize him. He's trying a thing. I don't feel like anyone actually looked older. Harvey didn't look older. Harvey looked older after 5 years than he did in between those 10 years. Like when you go back and look at the pilot of Gotham, like Harvey looks like a reasonably young man by comparison.
Well, he just walked off the set as a late 30s dad at that point in Grounded for Life. I mean,
it wasn't like that, but that
was physically where he was at the time. But I don't even mind the not aging them thing.
I do.
For the most part, all you got to do is put like a streak of gray in somebody's hair or something. And
they didn't even bother to do that.
Well, they didn't do that, but it doesn't bother me that much because
gray the temples, man.
Yeah, you can, but everybody grays differently. It's weird. But
yeah, but they can show me the passage of time a little better than they did here.
Some people don't look that different in 10 years.
Maybe not.
I mean, I don't even look that different from 10 years ago.
I understand that, but every character on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, Penguin got fat.
Yeah.
But they kind of had to.
They kind of promised us that. Yeah. And I was happy to see it. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know why somewhere in the 10 years he started dressing so flamboyantly. I mean,
he was always kind of edging that way.
He was, but I mean,
it made sense for his character. I mean, he always enjoyed the fanciful parts of life, and a top hat and a monocle aren't beyond a character such as he.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to give it that. But oh my gosh, just like I felt like there was no point to this last episode. Like nothing happened.
That was my take on it. Was nothing really actually happened.
Nothing happened.
And the thing that annoyed me the most was I've really enjoyed Barbara this season, and I've enjoyed her more and more in the last 20% of the series. Especially once it got to like Barbara, head of League of Assassins, I was like, okay, now we've done something with this girl. This is fantastic. And then in the last episode, after all that, she gets taken out by not Joker, not quite Jeremiah. We'll call him Jeremiah for now, but she gets taken out by him alone, single-handedly.
Did she actually get taken out?
Dude, he leaves her unconscious.
She didn't die.
No, but that's my other problem, is the way the scene plays out is Jeremiah shoots Harley, not Quinn. Echo. He kills Echo, and he's trying to shoot Barbara, I think, but he shoots her instead. It's a little weirdly staged, but I'm pretty sure this is how. So he's trying to shoot just the lot of them. He didn't care.
Uh-huh.
And he finds the girl, and he's like, well, this is a much better plan than anything I had going. So, improv, great.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Barbara, and he just kind of, he backhands her with a gun.
Uh-huh.
No one should be able to pistol whip the head of the League of Assassins. That should not be a thing. You spent the whole last season explaining how badass she was, and then now she's the queen of Gotham, on top of being that. Like, you made her this super empowered, important character, and she gets backhanded by a pistol? No.
That's fair.
I'm not okay with that. And then on top of that, when he leaves her threatening her, and she's awake and staring into his eyes and feeling threatened. Mm-hmm. And then when they show up on the scene, she's asleep, unconscious on the ground, with no other marks on her face. I would have felt better about it if there was like another mark or gash over her eyebrow or something, where he'd clearly popped her one more time.
Yeah.
But no, it's as though she went, well, there's a minute before I'll be needed. I might as well take a nap.
Yep.
It was weird and badly staged and kind of stupid.
It was. All of those things.
The only thing I enjoyed about it was when it finally comes time, the reaction. Like, I enjoyed the little bit where he's like, Jeremiah. Oh, there's no Jeremiah here. I'm not sure what I mean. Maybe a Jack or a John or blah blah. That was a cool reference.
Yeah,
it was a good bit. I love the multiple choice version that they've incorporated here. Mm-hmm. But and his reaction to seeing the batarang in his hand, like the pure maniacal joy of like, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And getting to see the actual batarangs, also fantastic.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the highlight of the episode for me.
Yeah. And it was over far too quickly.
It was over far too quickly.
Like, I was like, oh, they're going to bring... Because Jeremiah was such a threat the last time we saw him. He gets thrown in that acid. Mm-hmm. So he's just been comatose, waiting for something to happen. I don't know. And then for it to just be like, oh, we have a standoff at Ace Chemicals, and, well, that's it. That's over.
Done. 3 batarangs later, the whole thing's taken care of. Like, after all this time, as fun as it was to see the batarangs and his reaction and all that, I feel like we earned, this is fan entitlement as I'm saying it, but I feel like we should have gotten to see a little bit of a standoff.
Maybe
gotten to see Batman in action a little bit.
See, I was really thinking they were going to do something like Titans did last year in that last episode.
Where you just got to see glimpses, like a thriller almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a close-up of David Mazouz's mouth or something. What we got, they spent way too much money into that horrible bat costume for just that 1 second that we see him standing up on that roof. And they tried to do something with Mazouz, and it looked awful. Like,
it was weird.
It is like he just looked like he'd been hanging out in a basement, in like his mom's basement or something, which I guess that really is all Batman is, the dude that hangs out in his mom's basement.
Kind of, yeah.
But he's like
down
looking.
To it.
He just I could have sworn he was just gonna go, oh. Like, he just looked awful. Just, oh my God.
He looked displaced, as though somebody else was wearing it and they put his face in there.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Because that's what happened. But I did like what they did with his voice. The fact that he's using a voice modulator, and the fact that they really did just take his voice and pitch it down a little bit.
I heard that's what they did.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear it.
I can't hear it. I can't notice. I don't notice stuff like that.
Like, I'm quite certain that was his voice, and they just pitched it down.
It didn't sound like him when he was talking to Selena. Well, I say quote-unquote Selena.
It did. I actually didn't mind that casting. And I get why they had to do it.
Like, I get why they had to do it, but I didn't like her.
Like, she didn't, when you say, like, look like they aged, like, everybody else looks like they might, when they were in their late 30s, still look like that when they're in their late 40s. And that's plausible. I mean, I'm 34, I get ID'd. I don't have any cracks. If I shave, I look like I shouldn't be there. And I'm thankful for that, but it's plausible. For her, and Bykendova just still looks like she's, 15. I mean, I know she's a grown woman, but she just has that kind of face. That's how she's going to be. Yeah. So I get why they recast her. And I didn't think it was a bad recasting.
Yeah.
And I thought the girl who had that one episode with her did a pretty good job. And I even liked their little conversation on the rooftop. I think they left Batcat with the words like "return the diamond." She's like hell.
Yeah. I
kind of like how they left that relationship. Like they've had a past. It's going to be a little confrontational, but it's not going to be. They're not going to be buddy-buddy, but that made sense to me.
Yeah.
That was one of the more rewarding parts of the series, frankly. Oh, and I did love Alfred telling her, like, you're telling me you came dressed to the nines to this event to tell him to stay away?
Uh-huh.
That's pretty perfect Alfred right there.
Yeah. Again, wish he'd been a little older looking. He looks exactly the same age.
They gave him a cane.
They gave him a cane. That's not the
fine.
same.
It's fine.
But anyway, yeah, I thought it was a weak finale. I thought it...
I wanted more. I did. I'm not even sure exactly what I wanted, but I feel like they...
Not that.
I felt like they wrapped it up in a way that was... They bit off a lot, and I was highly anticipating the finale because they bit off so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the last couple weeks, they didn't chew it.
Yeah, the last few episodes were really rushed, really weird. And then that last episode, like, I almost wish they had, like, not done that last episode the same way. If they had just, like, I thought we were just going to get, like, I thought, like, 10 minutes of that episode was going to be a flash forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be, like, let's wrap it up, and then we see Bruce leave and go off somewhere, and then, like, it says 10 years later. And we get, like, a quick, Penguin and Riddler running through the street. I don't need to set up. I don't need to see Riddler in Arkham and Penguin getting out, and then it wasn't you. I didn't need to see any of that. I didn't need to see comatose Jerome.
Well, that was the other thing that happened in this
Jeremiah.
episode. That, like, if we were going to do it, I'd rather have seen that over 2 episodes. One or the other. Like, over 2 episodes, if they had done Jeremiah having this plan where, I mean, he clearly had Harvey intimidated to a point of no return. I mean, he had one cop or one guy to the point where he killed himself. I mean, if they'd fleshed that out over 2 episodes and I got a rewarding Joker Batman moment, more than like Batman showing up and from the rafters going "Fee-fee-fee," and ending the whole confrontation.
Yeah,
that's not a big payoff. If I just had a moment with Batman and a moment with Joker and just known, and then gotten to really pay off the end of No Man's Land, I think I would have found that more rewarding. Or if No Man's Land had wrapped up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then I got a lot of the last good Jeremiah Joker story. Mm-hmm. I think I'd have enjoyed that more. But I think they did both, and both failed to me.
Yeah. I think
it was a real shame.
I think a lot of my problem with that finale is that there was too much setup to nothing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like too much Riddler, like hanging out in prison, too much
to end up on a Dutch angle.
Yeah, and though I did like how they were like. I did like when they were like, oh yeah, we're going to show this Batman. This is our city. And then they see him. They're like, tomorrow.
That was the one good moment. I was like, at least I get to see him go out like that.
That makes sense for me.
I enjoyed Oswald getting out. I enjoyed Edward getting out. And then I enjoyed that moment. It was just that fucking Dutch angle crane shot was just absurd.
They've done Dutch angles in this show. It looks like Batman and Robin.
But I literally looked at them, and even color scheme wise, they look like Shaggy and Scooby.
I think
you can see their little knees shaking.
I would have cast somebody else as Nyssa. I probably wouldn't have even done Nyssa Al Ghul.
Nah, that was too much. I wouldn't have done Bane, to be honest. That was a lot.
Yeah,
I would have just focused on the people we had.
The bad guy. Yeah.
I didn't even think it was a bad Bane. I just wouldn't have done it. I would have preferred if we just spent some time with the people you've been building for 5 years.
Yeah, I would not have even done Bane, period, probably. Yeah. Like, if I had to deal with Bane, I would, but he would have been the bad guy. It would have been Nyssa.
It was bringing in something that wasn't necessary, and we had a lot of pieces on the board already. There was a lot of stuff to wrap up that was interesting.
Agreed.
Also, we never got to see Harvey Dent.
No, we didn't. They teased the hell out of that. Nick DaCosta never showed. I think Nick DaCosta had other things going on.
I'm not sure what he had going on. I didn't IMDb him or anything, but he was an enjoyable little. I wish that had come through. I liked his portrayal.
I didn't want to see him as Two-Face proper though either.
That's fair.
Maybe in the finale. Maybe like just show him 10
Arkham years later. Something. Yeah.
But like I said, like I didn't want to see all that stuff in Arkham after all that. Like I would have loved to have seen that last episode, the first 20-30 minutes, probably 20 minutes, be the like Bruce going off, like the end of No Man's Land proper.
Yeah.
And then we flash forward 10 years in the future. I didn't need to see Riddler getting out. I didn't need to see Penguin getting out. They're already out. Yeah. We know that they're in Gotham.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like have like a TV or something in the background say something about Bruce Wayne coming home, or even a radio if you really want to get timeless with it.
Yeah.
We see like Gordon has his mustache, got a little gray in the hair. They could just quickly gloss over like what Barbara's doing, or just mention what Barbara's doing. Like, in a few months, Bruce won't have the tallest skyscraper. That's fine. That's fine. I don't need to see all like Jerome and shit or Jeremiah and shit there.
That was one of the clever parts about the finale was they explained they explain Barbara very quickly by Harvey joking, why didn't I think to buy up a bunch of land, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a joke between two friends, but it was good exposition.
Yeah.
That was actually well done.
Yeah. You could have baked all of that into Joker or Jeremiah has kidnapped their daughter.
Yeah.
We didn't need to see their home life. We didn't need to see, because...
I mean, as much as I enjoyed seeing James with his little girl, and I actually really enjoyed the fact that Barbara's involved in her life. I like that her story arc has come around that far, and that she's involved, and we're going to have Barbara Gordon proper at this point. And that was cool. That was rewarding.
And by the way, I like that her name is Barbara Lee.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was nice, yeah.
And I really enjoy that it's like, just little moments where like they're leaving the construction site, and he's like, ice cream, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just little moments like that were cool. Really rewarding to see, but we could have done some different stuff with the villainy aspect of it. That's the weird part is the friend, like, all right, for instance, they're sitting around a bomb. Mm-hmm. It was neat to see that group of people sitting around a bomb trying to save Gotham after all this. But even then, still watching the episode, they're like, well, it's gyroscopic. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Like, he literally shakes the thing a little bit when he's picking it up the first time.
Uh-huh.
One of those things where I was like, no one caught that? You're supposed to lift it straight up, and then as you're lifting it, somebody like pops it to the side at least 20 degrees. Like, no, that's end of story. Done. We're done here.
I noticed that too.
And then I got deeply annoyed when it got down to 1 second, because I'm always annoyed. That's not their fault. I'm always annoyed when the bomb stops at 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Pick 14 seconds or something. Just to be different. It's not Gotham's fault on that one. That's just a thing I'm annoyed by.
Mm-hmm.
You can just stop the bomb at another time.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a second left. Is that all we got?
I tell you this. Do you remember our stupid sketch, Batman the Short Halloween? Mm-hmm. Brain damaged Batman who doesn't remember who Lucius is? Mm-hmm. When Lucius and Alfred are talking and they're like just making little plans about how they're going to deal with Bruce, I like look over at my wife and go, "Is Lucius black, Alfred?"
Oh, I thought about something else too. Speaking of our stupid sketches, according to this show, Batman does make a whoosh sound when you see his cape leave.
He does.
He does. I told you that was a real thing in Canada.
He does. I mean, it does sound like it sounds like I explained it. Like,
I just said it should be like a little whoosh.
Yeah, to me is.
Yeah, some combination of those sounds.
Yeah.
Short version of that background is we had a sketch where Batman kept coming in and out of frame very quickly, and I kept suggesting that Batman should have a little whoosh, little sound when he leaves, and Dave kept saying, "No, he's silent. He shouldn't make a sound when he leaves." It was like he makes a little whisper of a sound.
Yeah.
It was an argument we had for a while.
They did a similar thing on. They kind of parodied that on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where they replaced the actual sound effect when Space Ghost flew away with just a lady going whoosh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things I would have liked to have seen done differently on Gotham. All told, I think as far as the finale goes, anyway, the last few episodes.
Yeah.
And there are just things that I just like, whenever the show gets stabby, I just don't understand. Just like when Lee and Riddler just start stabbing each other after making out, I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, that was weird. And then to have that scene be that weird, and then later in the penultimate episode for him and Oswald to have like about to stab each other and choose not to, that was so dumb.
Oh, I like that.
I hate it.
I liked that because they're about to hug because they're like entering into a partnership. It just shows that both of them want to trust the other one, but they both neither one of them trust each other. I liked that. I liked that they both had the knife behind their back. They hugged and then they're like, okay. They both put it down.
It was again the staging. I liked what they wanted to do there, and I liked what the scene was trying to do there. But the staging where they actually managed to get a knife kind of out.
That was a little weird.
That was awkward, and no one in that room is that dumb. Everyone in that room has a ridiculously high IQ.
Yeah. No, I don't think either one of them. I don't think it was meant to imply that neither one of them knew what was happening. I think both of them knew what was happening.
I would prefer it to be that. It just didn't come across to me that way. I would prefer that to be the explanation, as they both realized, oh yeah, you pulled a knife on me too, which is still just, it was just weird for me. Like it would for me, it would have been better if they hugged and they both had their hands in their pockets and got the knife out of their pocket almost, and then just kind of subtly. Like I wanted more subtlety. That was what it amounted to. I wanted a little more subtlety out of that. After like
That's
two
fair.
people with that amount of nuance in their thinking, I just wanted something more. Plus, we'd already done that scene with Lee, as you said.
Yeah.
I didn't want it. It wasn't an homage to me. It was just reminding me of a weird scene.
Except with Lee, it was just a weird dramatic scene where they're both just like hacking away at each other.
Well, it was just she gets in one and then thinks she has the upper hand. And he's like, no, wait, there's still a blade in play and I'm still alive. So blah. There you go.
They stab each other a bunch and then make out. It was stupid. I hated it.
Well, they made out and then stab each other.
Whichever version of that was.
Well, they made out and then she took the opportunity to literally stab him in the back. And then he was like, blah. And,
Yeah.
And then they went down.
It's weird to actually look at you because we're in the same room and it's not, we don't normally do that. So I'm actually watching Jason make stabby motions.
Make stabbing motions. Like I just pretended I was stabbing Dave right now.
Right.
I want to end with something positive. And maybe one of my favorite moments out of Jeremiah, thank you, was Dave pretend stabbed me in my flab. One of my favorite Jeremiah moments in general, and there are a lot. He was Cameron Monaghan's portrayal on the show absolutely transcended the thing, and that's not even taken away from the show. Like the show was great, and he was another level of great. But he says something about like what is it? What's the joke? Like you're brain dead. I wish I remembered the actual punchline on this thing. He says something about like, oh, because you're brain dead, and then. No, that was it. He's talking to James at the Ace Chemicals. And he's got the girl on the hook or whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, because you're pretending you're brain dead. And then there's a Paul, and he was like, that's a joke. I know you're not pretending.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I did like him going out. Like they actually gave him a joke of some kind. Mm-hmm. I just liked that they actually included him having a punchline before he says he doesn't know who his name is. Mm-hmm. And then they go through a lot of trouble also with Bruce, like. When he's up on the ledge there, who is he? He's a friend. Like, they don't name anybody.
Right.
I'm okay with that. That part didn't bother me really at all. We know these are the people. Mm-hmm. I didn't need to necessarily have that. But I really liked how they ended Jeremiah's little career on the show.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that bat costume, though. Oh, so bad.
Yeah, there was a lot to be desired there. A lot left on the table with that.
Put it in shadows. Don't show me his face, please.
Would it cost less just to have him be a face on a ledge?
Or just a shadow on a ledge. Show me the Titans, Batman.
I think Titans Batman was probably the way to go here.
Literally cut out a freaking clip of Titans and just stick it in there. By the way, have you seen this guy that they've got playing Batman and Titans?
The older guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Game of Thrones?
They're not even changing his hair color, dude. He's a redheaded Batman.
Okay.
I'm
That's fine.
surprised. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you guys would at least dye his hair. No? Okay. What if they'll give him an accent? That's cool.
I mean...
If they give him an accent, I'm going to be really excited but confused as hell. Like, oh my God, you're just going to make...
That would be weird. He is supposed to be from an American city.
Right?
Like, from an American city that is distinctly an American city.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's... I mean, it's Jersey, I guess, but it's still like an American emblem,
Right.
A trademark of that accent. It would be weird. Mm-hmm. But we've been running around with a brunette Flash for 5-6 years now, and I haven't had a problem with that. So
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hey, we had a curly hair.
Wonder Woman doesn't have blue eyes right now, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's always weird to me. That always bothers me. I love Gal Gadot, but I want her eyes to be blue.
You just wish they'd contacted her a little bit. Yeah, it is superficial shit.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I actually really liked about Superman Returns is like Brandon Routh doesn't have blue eyes, so they gave him like these weird like super blue contact lenses, and it just made him look slightly alien.
Yeah,
Just slightly.
yeah.
I'm like, oh God, you actually got that right. You got that right, Brian. That's like the one thing in the whole canon you got right. Like everything else has to be like some sort of weird Donner knockoff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that. I don't know what I was talking about.
I don't either. Wrap it up.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, we had a curly-headed Batman with a receding hairline. In
yeah.
Keaton. Then we had like what is it, light brown hair with Kilmer, salt and pepper with Clooney.
He was blonde, almost. Kilmer.
Yeah, West was light brown. I mean, there's room.
Bale might have been the closest hair-wise.
Who?
Christian Bale.
Oh,
Might have been the closest hair-wise.
I think Affleck was probably closest.
Oh, that's true. That was darker. That was darker and coiffed. Yeah. I was thinking Bell's was dark and coiffed. But
yeah, Affleck looked like he was straight out of the animated series.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I was looking for that ugly yellow shirt with the brown suit that he wore all the time. But yeah. Yeah. Bye, Gotham. I do not stand with your Save Gotham people. I'm sorry. I don't want any more. I'm full.
No, I was happy to have him wrap it up.
I'm full.
I think it ran its course. Apologies for all who are deeply annoyed by that.
Yep. Well, we love you guys for listening, and go if you want, you can go check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/DCOnScreen. $5 a month gets you a bunch of extra stuff. Chasing squirrels. Just weird tangents that we go on the show and wind up cutting out. Warm-up sessions. Jason's Pool List, which is a fantastic little solo show. Maybe one day I'll get around to doing a solo show myself, rather than just trying to keep up with producing.
Just amount of time.
Other things. Marvel reviews. Good stuff, I hope. We have fun with it.
And in Gotham's words, one last piece of advice. If you're going to screw with a legend, do it properly.
Wow. They did say that in there, didn't they?
They did.
Oh, my God. All right. Keep some DC on your screen.
I thought it was a fine note to go out on.
That is. I'm very pleased with it.
Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52, Week 4. It was performed by me, David C. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Future Elevators, can be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Effie Oppelders of the fantastic podcast Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud. It can also be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We are proudly in partnership with TV Time, TV show calendar and social media site that lets you keep track of what you're watching, what your friends are watching, and where you all left off. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, an improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.
Are you maladjusted? We all love the low country lifestyle, which is why we should do our best to protect it. To get insurance that helps you protect your home from whatever the low country throws at you, contact CT Lowndes & Company today. Their local agents can review your coverage to help make sure you're properly protected. CT Lowndes & Company has been helping protect and insuring the Low Country since 1850. Visit ctlowndes.com to learn more and request a quote. That's ctlowndes.com.